Power, power, clock, correct, time, time for the big boss with the hot sauce. You see, that's me. I am the Geator with the heater being on the record. Up with a single, bop and chip bone.
Once again, let me say greetings and salutations to the entire population of this here fantastic nation. I'm the Geator, the big boss with the big hot sauce, and you're on the air with Ray Charles. Plus a special salute to a man that is legendary. I'm talking about Billy Joel, but to kick things off right now, what I've got to do is take you back to the 70s. And in the 70s from Philadelphia with the Geator Gold Dancers, it is the fantastic OJs. Singing since 1963, but it is not until the 70s that they hit pay dirt when they hook up with a couple of guys from Philadelphia. Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, they put them on the Philly International label, and the rest is musical joy. Start a show, Love Train, and that's exactly what it's got to be. This show that you're about to see has got to be exceptional. A man by the name of Billy Joel, he's going to be with us, and when we leave, we're just leaving you momentarily, because when I come back, you're going to see the Geator Gold Dancers do a little line dance to a song called Soul City Walk. Soul City Walk, you're back with yours truly, the Geator. In the background, it's Archie Bell along with the Drells. They are out of Texas. In Philadelphia, Kenny Gamble along with Leon Huff, they put them under contract with Philly International, and they start their career. At the beginning, they were recording for Atlantic, but in Philadelphia, they have a great successful story with this song called Soul City Walk.
In Washington, D.C., and it's spreading all over the land. And it won't be too very long before everybody's clapping their hands, doing the Soul City Walk, yeah, yeah. Doing that Soul City Walk, y'all, yeah. Soul City walking, Soul City walking, Soul City walking.
watching the show, and we'll teach you all these dances. You go to the right, you go to the left, you move a step back, and you move a step forward. Interesting, because Archie Bell out of Houston, Texas, originally recorded on Atlantic. Mediocre success, but it was not until Kenny Gamble and Philly International put him on the map with great music like this.
You don't need no partner. You can do it all by yourself. But if you want to really, really party, doing everybody else, doing that Soul City walk, y'all. Yeah. Soul City, come on.
You'll get it. You really will. Just keep on watching. It's really interesting because when you talk about Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, you talk about a couple of producers out of Philly who came out of the era in the 60s, and they were writing songs even back in the 50s, and they became very, very successful. And when you talk about success, the gentleman that I'm about to introduce you to is a man that began in the 60s. And when you talk about a superstar, let me go to my Geator Phonovision and introduce you to Mr. Billy Joel.
Hey, Geator.
How are you, pal? You look terrific, Bill. My producer, John, and our director, Jay, told me that I go back with you, I didn't realize it, back to the 60s when you were with the group called the Hassles.
I think we go back even further, to the Echoes.
Oh, wow, the Echoes, I remember that group. Bill, is it true that at the beginning you took up, you were going to take up boxing?
Yeah, I didn't necessarily think I was going to have a long career as a boxer. I boxed amateur for 3 years, and I had a good run. I was a champion of a welterweight class for a year. But I was taking piano lessons at the time. And any thought I had of going into boxing as a profession was pretty well diminished when I met some pro boxers who had, you know, the cauliflower ear. And I mean, this is why my nose looks like this. I realized it wasn't a very good future in boxing.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the music, Bill. The ideas, where do they come from for your wonderful music?
Sometimes I make music up because I want to hear it on the radio. Sometimes I listen to the radio, I go, I'm not hearing anything I like. Then I go home and write something that I like to hear. It's a strange way of writing. Maybe it's a strange approach, but
it works.
Yeah, that's what I do.
But the lyrics, are you inspired by certain things to come up with those great lyrics?
Just life is the inspiration. I mean, you don't have to look too far. If you turn off your TV set, go out of your house and take a look around. I mean, there's plenty of things to write about. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of good musical ideas I get just from life, just from living, and from not always from me. It's from watching other people. It's from friends and family. There's plenty of inspiration out there.
A great lyric like "It's Only Rock and Roll to Me," the song. After you write, in my opinion, a masterpiece like that, what does it do to you mentally and physically?
It's almost like giving birth. It's not physically the same, but I can identify with a postpartum depression that a woman would have after giving birth to a child. You pull these things out of yourself, and it's like tearing a little piece of yourself off and giving it away to the world. Then it goes on to have its own life.
But does it drain you mentally, my pal?
I am drained after I do that, yeah. It's a very wrenching experience, and you need time to recover from it, too.
It's still rock and roll to me. Hit in the 70s. 60s feel. Where did you come up with that idea?
There was a movement in music during the late 70s, punk and new wave, and I thought it was really healthy, that the music business kind of needed a return to the basics. It had kind of forgotten where it came from, and punk and new wave kind of kicked its butt. But it was kind of taken by some people to be different than anything else that had ever happened before. And my comment on it was, okay, call it whatever you want, next wave, new wave, dance craze. It's still rock and roll. Let's not forget what this is. This is not a new religion. This is nothing new. It's a hybrid, but it's still rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. The album Innocent Man, which I think is a wonderful album. Again, the feel from the old groups, the Drifters and the performers like James Brown. Where does that come from?
I did a track for a Rodney Dangerfield movie called Easy Money. And I did it like a Wilson Pickett, James Brown rhythm track. And it was so much fun that I did another song from that genre. I wrote another song called An Innocent Man, which was sort of like a Drifters tune. Now I was into this role. I was having so much fun writing this stuff. When a writer gets into a role, you don't question it. You have to go with it. And one song spun out another song, and it spun out another song. And I was kind of going back, reliving the era of that great R&B time. All those great records by Wilson Pickett and Jackie Wilson, and even the Supremes. I was just writing songs. It was a great time in my life. I was going out with Christy, and I was newly single again, and I was an innocent man again, and that's why I wrote those songs.
I tell you, it was wonderful. It really was. The longest time, did you do all of the parts of that yourself when you were in the studio?
I sang all the parts on that, yes. We tried to get other people to sing on it. We had the Persuasions in. We had a group in from New Jersey called Charm, a cappella group, bunch of young guys, good singers. Didn't work. And Phil Ramone turned to me and said, you're gonna have to do all the parts. I said, I don't want it all to sound like one guy. And what I did was I adopted this way of singing called method singing. When I was doing the bass part, I made believe I was this skinny Italian guy from Newark. And then I did the high part. I made believe I was a black kid from Brooklyn. I took on like an actor's persona, I guess. I call it method singing.
Yeah.
And I did all the parts like that, and it managed to work. But when I conceived of the song, I really thought of it as the kind of songs that I used to sing outside of my high school with my friends. We used to sing
Street Corner Harmony.
Little Anthony and the Imperials, the Del Vikings. Who did the Silhouettes? Who was the
Rays? The
Rays. So you know all the stuff. Half the time I didn't know who these bands or these groups were, but we knew all the songs, and it was fun to get other kids who would sing harmony. And if you found a good echo area, sometimes it would be under the parking field at Jones Beach, or in the locker room, in the boys' locker room. Nothing sounded like that. Still to this day, some of the best music that's made is music that's never heard.
Absolutely. You know what's interesting, and Ray Charles, who I love and you love, that had to be, when you want to go into the studio to work with Daddy Ray. Tell me about that, huh?
That was scary, actually. It was very thrilling and very scary, because he walks in the studio and he looks just like Ray Charles. There's no mistaking, that's Ray Charles. He's got the shades, he's got the walk, he's got the talk. There he is, it's Ray. And I realized at that moment, I'm really gonna do this now. Before it was just a concept, now it was a reality. And it was scary, but one of the highlights of my recording career.
When I'm lonely, she comes through. She's the only one who can. My baby grand is all I need.
He says, son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes.
Billy Joel, without a doubt, a superstar. And we're talking with him on the Geator phone. Bill, did you ever plan all of the success when you were growing up singing on the street corner?
I didn't really plan to become a rock and roll star. I didn't plan to become a celebrity.
Well, what did you want to do?
I wanted to create music. I always was enchanted by music when I was a child, and I knew I was going to do something with music when I got older, whether it was write it or play it or even to perform it. I wasn't sure what form it was going to take. It ended up being this form, and I think this is only a stage. I think I'm going to do something else with music too.
Why do you feel like that?
Because you have to have goals, you have to have dreams, or else you're just going to hang it up. There's a lot of different kinds of music I want to do, so I haven't realized all of my dreams yet. In some ways, it's gone way beyond what I ever dreamt was possible, but I have other musical dreams too that I want to accomplish.
Would you like to write other types of music?
I like a lot of classical music, so I might want to write symphonic music. I might want to write music that has just an instrumental form, music that is for other people to sing. I don't want to necessarily just have to write music for Billy Joel. I'd like to write music for other people, other performers, other singers. I'd like to write music for women to sing. I'd like to write music maybe for Broadway or for the movies. I don't know.
When is Billy Joel happiest? Performing or at home with Christy and your daughter?
At this point in my life, I'm at my happiest when I'm with my family. My family's very important. I'm becoming all the cliches that I didn't want to become when I was a teenager, when I was a younger man. I'd see people talking about their kids and their wives. Oh, man, this is so boring. You know what? That's what happens. You find out that those are the things that are very important to you. The people that you trust the most are your family, the ones you love and the ones that love you the most. It all comes out of love, and that's what creates the happiness for me, is my family, my wife and my daughter.
No question about that, and it shows in your performance. In your own words, why is Billy Joel successful?
This is my theory. I think I've had success because I worked very, very hard at performing. And then we went out on the road. This was before videos, before a lot of the image was visual. You had to go out and prove yourself on stage.
You had to work.
If people didn't like you, you found out real quick, and you didn't make it. You didn't make the cut. So that probably had a lot to do with it. Maybe the fact that I didn't set out to be a rock and roll star. I set out to create music because I loved music. It has nothing to do with my image or being a celebrity or being famous, really, or being rich. It had to do with making music, and I wanted to make really good music because my heroes are the Beatles and Bach and Beethoven and Mozart and George Gershwin and, all the way back, Ray Charles. We were really good, substantial musicians, and that's what I wanted to live up to. So maybe that had something to do with it. But beyond that, why Billy Joel is successful, I don't have a clue. I don't want to know. Because if I knew, there would be a temptation to always try to repeat that formula. And the last thing I want to be is a formula artist. I don't want to repeat myself. I always want to do something different and find out what I can do.
That's terrific. One last question, my pal. The high point in a career that spans all these years.
Russia would have to be the high point of my performing career. I played Yankee Stadium. I played in Berlin the night of the reunification of Germany. I played in the Philippines for the airmen and the United States Navy the night that the Gulf War broke out. We played for the soldiers. That was a thrill. But playing in the Soviet Union, when it was the Soviet Union in '87, this was before everything was copacetic between us. It was still the evil empire, and they were the bad guys, and communism was still a menace. It was a thrill to play there. I didn't know how it was going to go. It was a real risk. It was a very expensive proposition. It was all out of pocket. And I don't think anything can top that.
Yeah. Billy, you know I love you, pal, and it's always a pleasure. God bless you, and thank you, boss.
Thanks, Jerry.
My man, Billy Joel. Good cat. Hey, let's go back now to the 70s, 1972.
I don't love you anymore.
Yeah, the young man by the name of Teddy Pendergrass begins his career with a group called Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. But it is not until the latter part of the 70s that this young guy goes on his own and becomes a gigantic star. I present to you, hey, Teddy, I don't love you anymore. That's not true, though. I do love you.
No, not we can't be together. We
promised this show, I got to thank my main man, Billy Joel, and how about that piece on Ray Charles? Got to thank the Geator Gold dancers, and of course also you out there for making it happen. Remember, next week again, you're on the air with yours truly, the Geator, the big boss with the big hot sauce. But until we do it again, remember, at all times, you keep on rocking, because you see, you only really rock once.